Welcome on board, Chosen One. Don't pretend you haven't felt the shift in the air. It isn't loud, but it is impossible to ignore. The silence around you feels different now, almost unnatural, like the calm that settles after a storm has already changed everything. The moment your identity reached the world, nothing stayed the same. It wasn't just another reveal. It was a truth powerful enough to stop people in their tracks. Conversations paused, assumptions collapsed, and the stories people built about you suddenly lost every bit of credibility. For years they spoke as though they understood you. They labeled you, judged you, laughed at you, and convinced themselves they had your future figured out. Now those same people are staring at the truth with nothing left to defend. Every opinion they proudly shared has aged into embarrassment. The person they called ordinary has become impossible to ignore. The one they underestimated has become the standard they never expected to face. Their own memories are turning against them because they can no longer pretend they were right. They claimed you were average. They insisted you were trying too hard. They laughed at your ambition and questioned your purpose. Now they sit in silence, hoping you never remember the words they once used against you. The universe answered every doubt they placed on your name. Everything they mocked has become proof of your strength, and everything they tried to shrink has grown beyond their reach. The truth is, they never hated the old version of you. They hated that even your quietest moments carried more presence than their loudest performances. They couldn't understand how someone could command attention without asking for it. You walked into rooms without needing applause, yet people noticed you anyway. That quiet confidence unsettled them because it exposed everything they lacked. Whenever they told you that you were overthinking, what they really meant was that your growth made them uncomfortable. Whenever they questioned your effort, they were revealing their own lack of discipline. They weren't criticizing your ambition. They were protecting themselves from comparing their lives to yours. The biggest shock wasn't your appearance, your success, or your story. The real shock came from realizing they had never understood you in the first place. Every attempt they made to define you failed because you had already moved far beyond the limits they imagined. While they believed they were studying you, they were actually witnessing the beginning of someone destined to become far greater than they expected. Deep inside, they always sensed you were different. That feeling existed long before you recognized it yourself. People rarely attack what means nothing to them. They react most strongly to the things that quietly threaten their comfort. Every insult, every rumor, and every attempt to reduce your value came from fear disguised as confidence. Think back to the moments when success made people around you act strangely. Their reactions were never random. They noticed something inside you that they couldn't explain, something that hinted at a future they hoped would never arrive. They watched you with uncertainty because they sensed your potential before they had proof of it. Now that potential has become reality. Your identity didn't simply appear before the world. It shattered every false narrative built around your name. Old classmates suddenly question the opinions they once held. Former friends rethink the conversations they laughed through. People who underestimated you are forced to admit they judged the wrong person. This isn't luck. It isn't coincidence. It is the result of patience, discipline, and perfect timing. You never rushed to prove yourself. You didn't chase validation or demand recognition. You trusted that the right moment would eventually arrive, and when it did, it spoke louder than any argument ever could. Today marks the beginning of something they never prepared for. Once people witness the real version of you, they cannot return to the comfortable illusions they once believed. Their understanding has changed forever, and so has yours. Take a moment to recognize what has happened. Your reveal didn't simply attract attention. It forced people to question everything they believed about you. If you've made it this far, then you already understand that this journey is only beginning. The deeper truth lies ahead, and every step forward will continue exposing the difference between who they imagined you to be and who you have always been. The first truth your reveal awakened was simple. Their lies collapsed the moment reality stepped into the light. They had spent years building an image of you that served their comfort instead of the truth. The instant your identity became undeniable, that carefully constructed illusion fell apart. Every false label, every careless assumption, and every confident judgment folded under the weight of what was finally visible. You never transformed overnight. You simply reached the moment where no one could deny what had always existed. The version standing before the world wasn't new. It was the authentic you, no longer hidden behind the expectations other people placed upon your life. That realization hit harder than anything they could have imagined because it exposed how completely they had misunderstood you. Some people honestly failed to recognize your potential. Others recognized it early and hoped to bury it before anyone else noticed. Then there were those who pretended to support you while quietly waiting for you to fail. They applauded your mistakes louder than your victories because your success forced them to confront their own limitations. Think about how often people copied your ideas after dismissing them. Remember the moments when they laughed at your vision only to repeat it later as if it belonged to them. Recall the conversations where they acted confused, not because they lacked understanding, but because admitting your intelligence meant accepting that you saw things they couldn't. Your reveal stripped away every excuse they used to protect their pride. They could no longer hide behind sarcasm or dismiss your confidence as arrogance. The truth burned through every false story until nothing remained except reality. Imagine your identity as a powerful sword wrapped in cloth. For years, people handled it carelessly because they assumed it carried no edge. The day the cloth fell away, the blade caught the light, and everyone realized they had underestimated something far stronger than they had ever imagined. The strength wasn't created in that moment. It had always been there. Only now could they finally see it. Your silence was never weakness. It was preparation. While others wasted energy trying to define you, you continued growing beyond every boundary they attempted to place around your future. Their words never limited your potential. They only revealed the limits of their own imagination. The people who doubted you now find themselves trapped by their own memories. Every joke, every insult, and every dismissal has become evidence against them. They replay old conversations, wishing they had spoken differently, but time refuses to rewrite what they willingly created. This moment represents more than recognition. It represents closure. Every season of being misunderstood, underestimated, and overlooked has led to this point. The universe allowed the truth to appear only when its impact could no longer be ignored. Look around now. Former critics suddenly become supporters. Fake friends send congratulations as though they believed in you all along. Strangers become fascinated, trying to understand how they failed to recognize the signs that were always there. None of this happened because you changed overnight. It happened because reality finally became impossible to deny. Take that truth with you. Never allow anyone to convince you that your value depends on their recognition. Your worth existed long before they acknowledged it. Their approval never created your potential, and their doubt never destroyed it. From this moment forward, every step you take reminds people of the truth they once refused to accept. They can no longer place you inside the small version they created because that illusion has completely disappeared. The person standing before them has always existed. The only difference is that now the world finally sees what they tried so hard to ignore. There comes a moment when people stop believing the stories they invented because the truth grows too obvious to ignore. That moment arrived the instant your identity stood in full view. They didn't catch you pretending. They caught themselves assuming. Everything they believed about you had been built on fragments, and now those fragments could no longer support the weight of reality. Your silence was never deception. It was protection. Not everyone deserves complete access to your mind, your purpose, or your vision. People who accuse you of hiding the truth are often the same people who never earned the privilege of seeing it. They confuse privacy with dishonesty because they measure everyone through the limits of their own understanding. Imagine walking into a dark room carrying a powerful light. Instead of appreciating what the light reveals, people complain that it is too bright because their eyes never adjusted. That is exactly what happened when your truth appeared. It wasn't your identity that overwhelmed them. It was their inability to process someone who existed beyond the categories they had already created. You may wonder if you should have shown the world your real self much sooner. The answer is no. Timing has always been part of your strength. If everything had been revealed too early, many people would have attacked what they couldn't understand before it had fully developed. Growth needs protection before it needs attention. The universe allowed your identity to mature away from constant interference until it was strong enough to stand without explanation. Think of your life as a building under construction. While you were laying the foundation, others only noticed unfinished walls. They judged the structure before it reached completion because they lacked the patience to imagine what it would eventually become. Then, when the final covering disappeared, they acted surprised by something that had been growing right in front of them the entire time. Their reactions exposed far more about them than about you. If they had truly understood your potential, they wouldn't have underestimated you so confidently. Their shock proves they never saw the complete picture. They believed they understood your limits when, in reality, they had only witnessed the earliest chapters of your journey. Looking back now, you realize you were never invisible. You were simply misunderstood. People sensed something unusual about your presence but couldn't explain it. You made them uncomfortable without saying much because your confidence quietly challenged the stories they told themselves. Instead of admitting that they couldn't understand you, they labeled you as mysterious, distant, or difficult. The truth was much simpler. Your existence reminded them that they had settled for less than they were capable of becoming. Rather than confront that uncomfortable realization, they projected their insecurity onto you. It was easier to criticize your silence than to question their own choices. Imagine reading a book written in a language you never learned. Looking at the pages, you might assume there is no meaning simply because you cannot understand the words. The problem is not the book. The problem is the reader. That is exactly how many people treated your identity. They believed there was nothing remarkable because they lacked the perspective to recognize what was already there. Your restraint was wisdom. Your privacy was discipline. Your silence was strategy. Every season of waiting prepared you for a moment that carried lasting impact instead of temporary attention. Now that the truth has emerged, people rush to rewrite history. They claim they always believed in you. They insist they recognized your potential from the beginning. But their reactions reveal otherwise. Genuine belief never looks surprised when success arrives. The universe never placed you in darkness as a punishment. It placed you there as preparation. Every challenge sharpened your perspective. Every setback strengthened your patience. Every misunderstanding taught you how to move without depending on approval. By the time your identity finally reached the world, you no longer needed anyone's permission to stand confidently in your own truth. Now the people who once questioned you find themselves questioning their own judgment. They realize they mistook quiet confidence for weakness and steady growth for insignificance. Their assumptions became their greatest mistake. Remember this as you continue forward. You are not responsible for convincing everyone to understand you. Your responsibility is simply to become the person you were created to be. Those who have the vision to recognize your value will do so naturally. Those who refuse will eventually face the consequences of their own blindness. And this is only the beginning. The deeper your journey continues, the clearer it becomes that you were never competing with anyone around you. While others chased attention, you were building something far greater, something designed to last long after temporary applause fades away. You were never competing with them. While they measured success through attention, applause, and quick recognition, you were building something designed to last. They believed every day was a race. You understood that direction matters more than speed. That difference changed everything. While others chased approval, you invested your time in growth. Every quiet season strengthened your discipline. Every challenge sharpened your judgment. You weren't trying to impress people who had already decided to underestimate you. You were preparing for a future they couldn't imagine. Think of two travelers. One rushes ahead without a map, celebrating every small step. The other studies the terrain, chooses each path carefully, and reaches the destination with confidence. The first traveler moves faster, but the second arrives prepared. That has always been your journey. People often mistook your patience for hesitation. They assumed your silence meant uncertainty. They believed your absence meant you had disappeared. In reality, you were developing into someone far stronger than the version they remembered. Growth doesn't always happen where everyone can see it. A seed spends most of its life beneath the surface before anyone notices the first sign of life. The unseen season is never wasted. It creates the strength needed for everything that follows. Your life followed the same pattern. If you had revealed yourself too early, people would have attacked what was still developing. Instead, your quiet seasons protected your progress. Every moment spent away from unnecessary attention allowed your purpose to mature without distraction. Many people thought they had already figured you out. They placed limits around your future because it made them feel comfortable. Those limits were never real. They existed only inside their imagination. While they believed your story had reached its highest point, you were only beginning another chapter. Their underestimation became your greatest advantage. Every time someone doubted you, they gave you room to grow without interference. While they focused on judging your present, you focused on preparing your future. They watched the surface while everything important happened beneath it. Eventually, the moment arrived when preparation became visible. What looked like sudden success was actually the result of years of quiet discipline. The world only noticed the outcome because it never witnessed the process. That is why your reveal felt so powerful. It wasn't created in a single day. It was built through countless decisions, lessons, setbacks, and victories that nobody else fully understood. Every experience shaped the person standing here now. Some people still struggle to accept that truth. They continue searching for shortcuts or hidden explanations because admitting your success was earned forces them to confront their own excuses. It is easier for them to invent stories than to acknowledge your consistency. Never apologize for growing beyond expectations. You were never meant to remain inside the version other people created. Every season prepared you for greater responsibility, greater influence, and greater purpose. As you continue forward, remember this. Your greatest strength has never been proving people wrong. Your greatest strength has always been remaining faithful to your own path, while others became distracted by comparison. That quiet discipline carried you through every challenge and continues to separate you from those who only chase temporary attention. Your journey is far from over. The truth people finally recognize today is only the beginning of what still lies ahead. Every step forward will continue proving that real power is built in silence, long before the world notices it. Now you understand what this journey has always been about. Your identity wasn't something you accidentally discovered. It was something you patiently built through every challenge, every setback, and every lesson that shaped your character. While other people drifted through life waiting for circumstances to define them, you quietly chose the person you wanted to become. Every decision strengthened your foundation. Every obstacle refined your perspective. Every season of silence added another layer to the strength the world finally recognizes today. Most people believed identity was something that simply appeared over time. You proved that lasting transformation comes from deliberate effort. While they searched for shortcuts, you focused on consistency. While they chased recognition, you invested in preparation. That difference separated your path from theirs long before anyone noticed the results. Even now, after everything has been revealed, people still don't understand the full picture. They believe they have finally figured you out because they have seen one important chapter of your story. What they fail to realize is that growth never truly ends. Every lesson creates another opportunity. Every success opens another door. Every challenge prepares you for something even greater. The version they admire today will continue evolving tomorrow. Think about an iceberg floating across the ocean. People only notice the small portion above the water because that is all they can see. Beneath the surface lies far greater strength, hidden from ordinary observation. Your identity works the same way. What the world has finally witnessed is only a fraction of everything you have become through patience, discipline, and experience. As your journey continues, different people will respond in different ways. Some will genuinely celebrate your progress because they always wanted to see you succeed. Others will suddenly seek your attention after ignoring you for years. A few will quietly disappear because your growth reminds them of opportunities they refuse to pursue themselves. None of these reactions should determine your direction. Success has a way of revealing character. It exposes loyalty, insecurity, gratitude, envy, and integrity without requiring a single argument. The people who truly value you remain consistent before and after your achievements. Those who change only after your success reveal that they were never committed to your journey in the first place. Looking back now, every difficult season carries new meaning. The rejection taught resilience. The loneliness developed independence. The misunderstandings strengthened patience. The setbacks created wisdom. Nothing was wasted. Every experience prepared you for the moment when your truth could finally stand without fear. Perhaps the greatest lesson is this. You never needed revenge against those who underestimated you. Reality accomplished what anger never could. The truth eventually spoke louder than every rumor, every judgment, and every false assumption. Your greatest response was never proving people wrong through arguments. It was continuing to grow until the evidence became impossible to deny. The story does not end with your reveal. In many ways, it begins here. The world now sees the person you have worked so hard to become, but your future still holds chapters that no one else can predict. Keep walking with purpose, remain faithful to the person you have become, and let your actions continue speaking louder than words. The world may have finally noticed your identity, but your greatest chapters are still waiting to be written.